Three. Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today, we're going to go into the mind of a beautiful young lady, a comedian, all the way from the UK, now based in Los Angeles, California. But she's going to tell us how she overcame chronic pain. So let me explain to you what chronic pain is. Chronic pain is usually something that lingers for more than a couple of weeks in your body. Sometimes the only way it can be treated is through medication. But some people don't want to go down that path for medication. I call it the dark hole. Today on the show, we're going to listen to how one lady's journey into chronic pain led her to become one of the now famous comedians. I don't even know if I want to call it now famous because she's pretty well known. She's actually taken comedy to a different level. And what I mean by different level is she's taking her pain because she refuses to do the medication. So she's still dealing with pain, but she managed to take that pain and put it into laughter. And then from laughter into the art of meditation, which now in today's society, everybody's understanding the importance of pain and medication. I mean, meditation, but now you're adding another dimension to this comedy. Without further ado, let's welcome to the show Miss Comedy herself, Paula Jane Newman. What's up, baby girl?
Hey, what a lovely introduction. Thank you for having me.
Such a outstanding journey that you've gone through from the UK now into America, Los Angeles base. You're doing comedy. You're teaching people the importance of learning how to understand pain management in a different way through laughter and through meditation. Before we go there, tell the viewers a little bit about you because you have that UK accent from England. So tell the viewers a little bit about you before we get deep into your story.
All right. Yeah. So you probably hear I'm originally from the UK, and then I moved to the States in my late teens. And I got into a university, which solidified me wanting to follow the arts. And then I moved to California. And while pursuing my dream, as it were, working in an office, I got hurt with something called a repetitive stress injury, big umbrella, but it includes carpal tunnel, decravenous tendinitis, bilateral and myofascial pain syndrome. People like to put in the words like fibromyalgia, but really they ultimately put the term fibromyalgia on something they can't figure out why it's happening. I had a specific injury in the workplace, which has caused the muscles to spasm in a certain way. But fibromyalgia deals with the nerves, and mine deals with the nerves. So whenever I'm under stress, the nerves get fraught, and then it hits what I call the weakest point, right? And that's my injury. And it happened when I was far too young. I sought meditation to deal with the pain because I went down the rabbit hole with pain medication and had I don't know if it was a dream or a vision, who knows at that point, because I was on so much pain medication, wasn't really present. But I had this dream because I was of the mindset, Andre, that if I had money, right, and if I looked a certain way, that I could get the best looking husband, the best connected husband, the best doctors, my life would be great, right? That's what you're supposed to do in life. Like, that's what I was trained. If you could just get this, everything would work out.
Yeah.
And in this dream, I was Queen Paula, right? And now I have a Renaissance body shape. Okay, like when I grew up in England, I did not have the straight blonde hair. My hair is tame right now, but I had wild, woolly, curly hair. They used to draw pictures of me on the board. They draw a face, crazy curly hair around it, and put my name on. And I'd walk into the classroom, and that was done by my mates. These are my friends, and that pit of the stomach dropped. I've always had slightly a thicker waist. I'm an apple-shaped body, but back then it was not accepted, right? It was not accepted of how I looked. And I've gone on a tangent and I just lost where I was going. I'm a bit honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I just lost it. I lost it
That's
completely.
that's part of
Um,
the comedy. But let me ask you the question. You have dual citizenship, but you grew up in the UK. So what
yes.
was it like growing up in the UK? And from what I understand, your father remarried an American. So the two-part question, what was it like growing up for you in the UK? Was the arts well accepted in the UK, especially being a female? Because I'm pretty sure you guys have strict regimented codes that you follow versus here in the United States.
Well, first of all, we got to say a couple of things. It was, 30 years ago, right?
Mhm.
So times have changed. And
Right.
also, I grew up in a small country town. I did not grow up in a big city where there were more arts and more accessibility. So what was cool in my area was music,
Right.
right? I was part of a choir. I went and sung in the International Eisteddfod. We were on television, except the choir mistress told me not to sing because she didn't like my top notes. So we went on a television show, Andre, and I was like, well, I'm bored. So I might as well just act out the song, right, with my face while we're singing, because I wasn't singing, right? And so it was with this woman called the singing nun, Mary O'Hara and friends, right? And so she would get a school choir every week. And we were there, and there was something about, and then we see the stars in the sky and we follow them. And I sat there and I did things like this, like, and those of you who are just listening, I just acted out like a little idiot, like looking up at the sky and following a star. Like that's what I did for this whole like session. Well, then the TV show comes on and I'm in the blooming trailer because, right, and I'm not one of the top singers. Oh, the drama, Andre, right? Oh, Paula Jane Newman, she doesn't even sing the notes. And then the whole TV show would just cut back to me because the cameramen are like, there are these kids doing nothing. And so that's an example of, well, I got burnt from the choir because then on the mums complained to the network. This is how small town it was. They complained to the network. So the choir was never asked back to perform on television again because Paula Jane Newman did funny faces. This is what I'm talking about. So when it came, so then the choir lady just downsized me because I kept showing up. Like my mum's like, no, you've got to do choir. Like I think that it was the only activity that me and my brother did at the same time. So my mum had like an hour piece, she's like, no,
Right.
you're going to choir, right? And so then she delegated me to reading poetry. So
Okay.
I then became the entertainment in between the songs of reading poetry. So then I would sort of act out the poems and I would get to, no, 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 you can't act out the poem. My goodness, Blake is enough, Paula. Blake is enough. And I'm like, it's a bit boring to me, And of course, what would happen is people would laugh because they would think I was just entertaining because it's not done. But then at the same time, it was really quite sweet and endearing. So the arts were there, but in my world, music was where the arts were supposed to be. And so I had a little exposure, but it was only until I, in my mid teens, said, I've got to get out of this country. I've just got to get out of the whole blooming place. And so I'm just going to go to America and be in the movies. Like, I just decided that's what I'm doing.
How difficult was it for you to make that transition and that mindset? In order to get back to the United States, you have to have money. You got to have accessibility to a green card. You got to have resources here in America. Um, well, people can come to America all day and really don't have resources, but I think that would be kind of pointless. But you still got to know somebody here. You just ain't coming here and don't have a destination. How did you manage to get all that in place?
Great question. Yeah, people do it all the time. They come here without resources, and especially, I would say women get taken advantage of. So, yeah. My father remarried an American. My father flew the Concorde plane. So he was always going back and forth to America. And through that, he took early retirement. They moved to California and then applied for his green card and then had me and my brother at the time, because we were under 18, apply as well. When I came out to do a summer course at the American Conservatory Theatre in San Francisco. And during that time, I struggled in England with school because I had dyslexia and many forms of dyslexia. But I was very effervescent and good at speaking. And so people thought I was difficult rather than there's a genuine problem with the learning, which has changed now. And and so I really had nothing to go back to. It was, I couldn't get into university, and I took what's called advanced levels and I couldn't get into university. Then I resat the same exams again and still failed.
Hmm.
So when I went to America and I said, I'm going to take a year off. And then I got into a university that was performing arts. I got into Carnegie Mellon for the prestigious acting program. That's where my tack was going. And yes, there was the base of my father when I first got here. But I'll be honest with you, within 3 months, I left that household because that to me was too constraining and I couldn't live my truth as well. So I had the green card and I could work, and I paid myself through university as an independent student. And I just have always been like that. Like, okay, I'm not going to live under your thumb.
Sounds
If you
like
want to
you
get woo woo,
sounds like you're a rebel.
I would say, you know, a cheeky one, but I'm one that follows the rules. I just want to live my truth,
Hmm.
right? And I think, you know, call it what you want. If you want to get woo woo, you know, I think in lifetimes before I've tried to, and I wasn't free enough. And from when I was growing up to now, I see my nieces and nephews growing up. There's just more freedom for girls and women than there were when I was younger. And so I just pushed that line as far as I could.
What do you mean when you say more freedom? Like, what are,
Well,
what is the code? What is the rules of engagement for a female in England to follow?
well, I will say, you know, when I grew up in England then and now is very different. So I can't speak for now, but I will say the rules for engagement for women to follow are to look nice, to look pretty, uh, to speak when spoken to, and then don't make a man look bad. Don't make superiors look bad. And I was always making people look bad
Hmm.
because I just didn't understand things sometimes. I would always asking questions, right? Now I see my niece, who's now 8, very much like me, growing up in the state of Colorado, and she can ask questions. She can speak a truth. She can say, look, I happen to like this. I know you think it's silly, but I appreciate you not making fun of me for it. I could never have said that at that age when I was younger.
Wow.
I
Why?
would just
What would have
get
happened?
told off.
Wow. How close are you and your mom passed? I'm sorry about your biological mom passing, but your dad remarried an American. What was it like for you as far as getting exposure to the American lifestyle when your mom is actually England, your father is English? What was that like for you? What was the adjustment and what values did the new stepmom bring to your life?
She absolutely helped open the door with my dad's innovation for us getting green cards and being able to live in America. If it wasn't for that marriage, it would never have occurred.
Hmm.
That was huge. Um, when I came here, of course, my father was still wanting me to be in America on his terms, which I don't play that game. So I moved out quite quickly.
What do you mean on
And
his
when I
terms? What do you mean on his terms?
he would always say things like, "Oh, I think you'd be really good if you speak English as a second language and you could go teach it." He was always trying to get me to do jobs that I was like, "No, I want to do acting. I want to be in the arts." Like that's I can't do those. Those jobs are not me.
Okay.
And I was always someone who had jobs. I always had jobs. And I was always working hard, even as a teenager. I had paper rounds, I cleaned caravans, I would save up my money. And then at 16, me and my friend, we'd go on holiday. So I was always working hard. I always wanted financial independence. And this was because my father often had some money with his job, but would leave it with a carrot dangling. And I would have to follow that person's will because I had no other financial recourse. So it was always instilled in me. And it's part of something of who I am, Andre.
Hmm.
I always wanted financial independence. I do not want to rely on you because then I am beholden to you. Um, and so that financial freedom that I got and now enabled me to go to this university as an independent student. And then my stepmother actually turned a lot of a tune because she was like explaining how much of a big deal it is in America to get into the institution. She herself never went to a 4 year university. So she was very much an advocate of it. She was always there for the plays. She was always there trying to help me set up my room. So that's where things shifted because he was like, well, I can't afford for you to go to that university. You're not going. And I, having what I would call an American mindset, well, let's see what we can do about that. Right.
When did you know
Rather
that?
than
When did you
can't do.
when did you know you wanted to be a comedian or in the arts? I mean, what was it that drew you there? Were there inspirational people in England? Because the time that you were there, I would assume it was strict guidelines for women, and I'm pretty sure a lot of women wasn't in the entertainment or in the arts field. So, who was your role models, and how did the arts even come um into your mainframe, the line of thought?
I started doing like, when you're kids, you do plays with your cousins and whatnot in the backyard, and you put your parents through this awful show and then they just like talk to each other. I was doing that ever since I was a young kid. And I was always, getting people together. Let's do a play in the garden. Let's do dress up. Uh, I think part of it happened because I was having so many problems at school in England because of my dyslexia
Okay.
and because I was very good orally and articulate. And I came from, before my parents got divorced, a sort of middle class family that people gave me some basic privilege, really, of listening to me more. But I had a hard time in school. If I was better academically, as in could pass tests, because it was a very academic environment, it wasn't do a project, it was like pass this test. You do school for 5 years and your life depends on this one test. And I would just, I couldn't see, the fonts would get wacky. I would have panic attacks. I would misunderstand the questions. I couldn't do it. That's a big reason as to why I was more going into the arts anyway, because that was a place where I could stand up and I would be appreciated,
Mm.
you know. And I didn't see any the females who were on television. There were some funny females that were coming up as before I left for America, but they were pretty certain archetype looking women that I didn't look like.
Mm.
It was usually the male figures that I would find funny or entertaining. And my decision to be what I called was a mega star. I told people I'm going to be a mega star.
Mm-hmm.
Dear me. Um, was I got very obsessed with this film Back to the Future. I loved it. I had a huge crush on Michael J. Fox, and I said, I'm going to move to America and I'm going to be a movie star. That's what I said.
So you come to America, you started to shape your own destiny, so to speak. But the main issue, something unfortunate happened, which now you're dealing with, which is the chronic pain. How did that come about?
Yeah. So when I was at university, everyone would naturally go to New York. Right. That's the school was so well known for pushing out top-notch musical theatre people. And I thought, I can't go and live in the cold anymore. I lived in England. I live in Pittsburgh. I can't do New York. There was a new head of the department who came from Los Angeles. I was like, I want to do TV and film. So I said, can we do a showcase in Los Angeles? So we created the first ever Los Angeles showcase for my drama school. And now, decades later, people have this showcase because I helped create it.
Congratulations.
Originally, I was supposed, yeah, it's a bit, and that's what I love to be doing. That's part of my path. I'll set the trail blazing
Mm-hmm.
and then you step away. And if the thing continues without you, then I know in my core, I've created something that's sustainable, that's making the world a better place.
Mm. Yeah.
It becomes not about me.
Mm.
Ideally, I was supposed to be a megastar, right? And I'd get all this congratulation.
You're
Oh,
still
no,
a
that did
megastar.
not happen.
You're just a
No,
comedian. You're just a
just a
comedian right
comedian,
now. Yeah, you're a
right?
comedian now. Yeah.
So I come out, I'm doing the dream, right? Auditioning. I'm working part-time in an office. I got a full-time job and I persuaded them I could do the work in part-time to auditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked on a severe project. My wrists hurt one day. I came home, then my neck and shoulders locked up. And I got a repetitive stress injury working on the computer and filing. That's bilateral, diagnosed as myofascial pain syndrome, carpal tunnel syndrome, decrepitous tendonitis. I couldn't even sit upright anymore. I couldn't put my arm out. And within 6 months, I lost the relationship I was in that I was supposed to get married to. I lost what I thought were my dreams. I lost everything.
How did you lose
And
the
that's,
relationship because of what you went through?
well, when you're in your early 20s and you meet someone, you're trying to figure out. I was doing what everyone around me was talking. Is this the relationship? Now you get married and now you have kids and you do this, right? I was on that programming, right?
Right.
And we were best mates beforehand. So like now I was with someone who was my friend, right? And we were
Mm-hmm.
going to be creative together and do things together. But it got to this point that I felt like I was trying to make this thing work. And and what happened was really you can fall out of love with people. And I didn't really understand that at that age. And they went away for a few months to Europe, came back, I was hurt. And there were a few incidents that occurred where they did not have my back.
Mm.
And I was to myself, I thought, they think that and this happens a lot. I find that males, especially in the 20s and 30s, will think that a woman is trying to stop their career, where I'm the least type of person to ever do that. So if they thought by me being around was stopping them from doing their career, that's in their head, right? Because they told their their mum said, oh, my mum was okay as long as I, don't have things in my life that will stop my career. And I felt like, kicking him in the goolies because I was the one that got him a great ticket to go to Europe and support him. And I've never been that person, never. And so I pulled the band-aid off quick, right? I had a previous relationship where the loneliest I've ever felt in my life, Andre, was when I'm lying in bed next to someone and I realize they don't love me anymore the way they used to.
Wow.
And I thought, I'm so lonely right now. I'm next to this person and they don't love me like that anymore. So I brought it up, we addressed it and moved on. And of course, they were like, yeah, I need to focus on my career. And I'm like, oh, for goodness sake, shut up. Right. That was a long distance relationship at the time. I'm like, I'm the least person in the whole world. I'm so independent. I'm not draining your resources. You're
Wait
the
a
one who's
minute.
relying on
Wait
me.
a
Like,
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Paula. Say that again. Oh, shut up.
oh, shut up. Come on. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break. What gas have you been cooking with? And this is like this delusion. This is a pattern that happens with a lot of men. And they think, oh, I can't be in a relationship until I have this, this, this. No, a healthy, good relationship is supporting you to be who you really are. And so I
So
just pull the band-aid off quick.
did you have were you dealing with the chronic injuries during this time as well?
So what happened was they were away in Europe, they came back, and then this happened to me. It was very clear they did not understand the depth of what was going on because I've been dealing with it for a month. And so I preempted it. I said, look, this is not working out. It was a few days after maybe a couple of weeks after they come back. I was like, it's not working out. And I went away to Thailand for a bit of time for alternative treatments because I thought, old mindset, get away from the scene. My father moved to Thailand, go visit my dad. Maybe it'll rejuvenate and my body just needs to stop being on the computer. I thought that would be it.
On a
No,
scale of
it was
one to
not.
10, Paul, on a
Mhm.
scale of 1 to 10, what was the pain?
Okay, so well, this is my question to you. What is your 10? Is your 10, your knees, or is your 10 giving birth?
Okay, good analysis.
Right. So I mean,
I'm at a
I've been
10. I'm
so
at a 10.
I read a 10. You're at a 10. Okay. I'm gonna disagree with you. To any woman who's listening who's given birth, they'll be like, heck to the no. Right there, Andre. Your
Right.
knee, yeah, you're in pain. Your knee is a 6 at best compared to
Yeah.
giving birth. I'm giving you a hard time, but you can tell I'm someone who's been in a lot of doctor's appointments.
Right.
On a scale of 1 to 10,
What's your pain?
envious emojis back here. What is your face right now? It's like, oh my gosh.
Right.
So I'm like my mom, I'm very good at hiding pain because I also came to a place where I learned that if I want to live in the pain, you live in the pain. If I want to live in life, you take a moment to find what brings you joy. So I would say at that time, my pain was always a 7 and an 8. I got to tell you, it was bad. I couldn't sit upright. I don't know if they're doing it on Zoom. I couldn't put my arm out straight. I couldn't sleep at night because the chronic pain. It drained my brain. I couldn't function. I couldn't dress myself. It was hard. I just be able to do a bird bath, wash, maybe change the undies, and then lie down. I couldn't sit to watch tele. It was just horrible, horrible, horrible.
What did the doctors say? I mean, I'm pretty sure you went through getting different medical advices, but was any of the medical advice that was given to you making any sense at all on what you was actually dealing with?
They did not know the depths of it. I got told and I did see a plethora of doctors, orthopedists, sports injury doctors, workman's comp doctors, general GP. I went to acupuncture, chiropractic, physical therapy, occupational therapy. I did aromatherapy. I did yoga. I did even urine therapy at one point. Like I did flipping everything to try and sort this
What did you
out.
just say?
Uh,
Urine therapy.
that's like
What the hell
drinking
is
your
that?
drinking your pee.
Oh God, are you serious? You was in
Mm-hmm.
pain if you had to go down that route. Like literally. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a right pisser.
So when did it come to the realization that out of all of these different doctors that it wasn't getting better? When did you take the bull by the horn and say, "Look,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to take control
yeah.
of my own pain
Mm-hmm.
at this
Mm-hmm.
moment because clearly the piss one is a new one on me. that's that's
Yes, I
that's a
will.
new one.
Yeah, I will tell you. It was coming up to a year, and I got to, I think around the 9 month mark. The 9 month mark, I went back. My mom was alive. I went to visit her, and my brother visited, and we had a huge row, my brother and I. And I behaved in a way that I just, I got so mad and frustrated with him that I ended up pulling his shirt and ripping his shirt and then like just screaming and just like going around in a circle, twirling, right? And I say that because I just, I was, I, oh, that might have been a bit after, but it was these moments of my complete behavior was insane.
Mm.
I was clearly not able to think right and I couldn't articulate myself. I felt unsafe because I've always been aware of any being attacked or anything by a male figure and like I couldn't defend myself. But I got to around that year point and I was suicidal basically. I was suicidal.
Wow.
And um I I had this, whether we call it a dream or a vision or whatever it was. And I always believed up to then, Andre, that if I had been born with more privilege, more access to more money, if my body shape looked different than it was, I didn't have that type of body that it was, skinny blonde boobs, thinner waist. I've always had an apple-shaped body and crazy curly hair. That I would get everything if I found the right partner, right? And so I had this vision that I was Queen Paula in the Renaissance period, right? Because that's when I would look, that's my body shape. And that as a queen, you could marry whoever you wanted, right? You have access to all of these domains. But in this vision, all I was doing was complaining to my lady in waiting about how heavy the crown jewels were
Mm.
and how much a burden it was to have to wear all these dresses and pull the corset in. And you're so lucky that you can marry whoever. I have to marry who I'm supposed to marry according to my family lineage. So please just go forth and get my opiates. And it was in that moment I came to and I realized, oh my gosh, even in my fantasies, I'm depressed.
Mm.
Even in my fantasies, I need medication. And I realized then that it wasn't my body that was the actual problem. It was my mind about the problem. And it was then that I realized that I needed to get off all of this medication to look at why was I having this reaction to my nerves? Why was my nervous system overreacting? Why do I have this fight or flight response? Why can't anyone break down these muscles? Because my body is like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. And the only way to get down to those causes and conditions was to drop all of the substances. Um, and of course, this is my experience. I'm not telling anyone else to do this. I wasn't on any psychotropic medication. I was on pain medication. Drop that stuff and start addressing what comes up in its raw form and start dealing with that. And that's when I sought meditation to deal with the pain
Mm.
rather than medication.
When you say meditation, there's tons of meditation that's out there, from music meditation to crystal meditation, vibrational meditation, yoga. How did you determine which one was most suited for you and your pain?
Yeah. So I went through everything.
Why did that not surprise me? If you're gonna use piss, you might as well try everything else, right?
Well, I'd also, I'd gone to drama school. I'd sat on a yoga block and tried to breathe out my sphincter. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I already tried this woo-woo stuff, and I went on endless diets and things. And I basically got to the last house on the block, as it were.
Right.
And then I knew I needed a teacher. And someone said to me, try this meditation. It can give your body 2 to 5 times more deep rest than sleep. And I thought, it's not going to work. So I went down to this place in Baldwin Hills. The teacher is now passed on, was on the edge of Baldwin Hills and what they call in Los Angeles the jungle. And there I did. I stuck out like a sore thumb, this white woman walking down into this neighborhood. And I thought, well, I'm either going to learn meditation or today I actually die. And either way, I was fine. I was in that much pain. I'm like, either way, I'm just fine. It doesn't matter. And this woman showed me the results of blood pressure on this meditation. She talked to me about how it's helped the body. And then I gave her my last money. I paid her back then $400. It was my last disability check because they cut you off after a period of time. You can't get paid if you haven't worked, basically. And so, excuse me, I thought I'd try it. And so I went back home, and it was a course over a series of 4 days. I followed her instructions. I was so positive it was not going to work. But within the first day, I came home and you're told to do your homework, which is you try the meditation on your own. And I did it for 20 minutes. I thought it was horrible. I kept looking at the clock. In fact, I still have the clock here in my room, and it's not working properly, but I still have the clock because it was that important for me to remember this.
Right.
And after that 20 minutes, I lay down for what was normally my 3 hour nap because I wasn't sleeping at night, right? So I couldn't sleep the night. So I lay down for an afternoon nap. And within 5 to 10 minutes, Andre, it was pretty clear my body was not going to sleep.
Wow.
And then my friend said, how did it go? How did it go? I said, oh, I don't know about this meditation. It's just bollocks. I mean, I just sat there in a lot of pain and I lay down and I couldn't even sleep. right?
Mm-hmm.
And she then said to me, I'm sorry, you're telling me you've done this meditation the first day, twice a day, 20 minutes each, 40 minutes total. You no longer have to sleep for 3 hours in the afternoon. And it was then that I understood the depth and power of that practice, that it didn't matter what I thought. All that mattered was I kept doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept doing it. I had lots of pillows and things, and I did it to the point that I realized that within a couple of years, well, maybe 3 or 4 years into it, it came the opportunity to become a teacher. I was still on disability. I'd actually got a small part in a big film. It became this huge film when I first got hurt, when I was still walking around. And the royalties from that kept me being able to pay my bills. I subletted out my apartment. I was pet sitting. I was still a hard worker, even though I was hurt,
Mm-hmm.
because my family couldn't really support me. And then someone who could support me, like my father, wanted to control me. So I was like, well, I'm not doing that. Again, like I'm not doing that. I got to live my truth. And I don't want to be beholden to anything that's keeping me repressed, right?
Right, right.
And so um I I ended up then having the opportunity to become a teacher, and synchronicity would have it. They had Arnold Schwarzenegger then became the governor of California, and he cut all the benefits. Like there was no vocational rehab for me anymore. Um, they just wanted to move people through the workman's comp system. So what was promised a substantial amount of money
Mm-hmm.
became almost pennies. It was never going to pay for my life medical care. I took it to get out because I realized at that point the system was only hurting me mentally. And having had that cognition that a lot of my injury is about my mindset and my nerves
Mm-hmm.
and how I deal with my body, I was like, I'm done. I would do yoga with a specialized class, and the average age was 72 in me. Like that's how I functioned at my young age. And so I took that money, and it was in alignment with how much this meditation course was. I went to India, and then I became a teacher of the meditation, because I knew for me, the only way I ever really learned something is if I learn how to teach it.
Now, the meditation that you learned, what is it called, and what's a little bit of the practice that you have to do, the ritual that has to go along with this, and how is implementing this neutralizing? And I'm not sure because I don't know it, but I'm gonna say neutralize the pain because you still have pain. So all it's doing is neutralizing the mind, so it's still there.
Mm.
Am I correct?
That's a perfect word. What it does is, without you knowing it, like you've like tapped into the vibration of the truth of what this meditation is, Andre. And that is, it kicks you back into neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So most of us are living in fight or flight, right? Fight or flight, and it's the relaxation and the active state, like the sympathetic to the parasympathetic, right?
Right.
And so we often live in that fight or flight place. This knocks you back into that relaxation state, right?
Mm.
And that's when we're in a place of neutral, right?
Okay.
And so the body gets the deep rest, and then one is the more you see, when you do something, you take something away, like someone stops smoking, they then put like celery or carrots in their mouth, right?
Yeah, I've
You've
heard
got to
that.
replace it. Mhm. So you can't over meditate, because that can cause some other issues with the brain. But if you stop, like I stopped drinking, I stopped taking pills, and I needed something to help calm my nervous system down. So the meditation helped do that, but it did it in a healthy way, right? And so it was designed for people who want to be in the world. Like I was not going there to become a meditation teacher, right? I'm a natural teacher, and that's what's come out of this whole thing. Because when I got hurt, people started giving me teaching jobs. I was teaching storytelling. I was going into a program. I can't remember what it's called now, but it was a program in Los Angeles designed for the lower income area children. And I teach elementary and middle school kids storytelling, and everything was me speaking. So I didn't write it down. And I was doing improv and theater. And then I taught English as a second language. And I'm dyslexic,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's that? And that's telling me, and I didn't get it until later in life, that I'm a natural teacher. right? If
Hmm.
I can teach a bunch of people English and I don't understand English, I'm now learning English because I have to teach it. And
Mm.
when I would try and study for school to be able to get by, I would be in my room teaching the lesson to my pretend students, which were my teddy bears and my cuddly toys, because that's the only way I understood how to learn the subjects,
Right.
right? And so at one point, I started scoring really aces in maths, right? And the teacher said, "Oh, Paula could be in the advanced math class." Well, I decided not to do it because all the people in that class didn't like me and made fun of me. Plus, I'd have to be at home teaching myself maths. I'd just go to the next page of the book. I was teaching myself better than the. So when I would get to the class with the teacher, they were just reaffirming what I knew or I had questions,
Mm.
right? And so this is part of who I am. This has shaped so much of how I look at the world and how my path has moved because of this stuff of within learning and school and how I view the world, right? And so the meditation kicks one into neutral to be able to hear information without reacting and keeping the nerves fraught, right? The
Hmm.
challenge is if you do it for a period of time, like so chronic pain is technically 3 months or more, right? Some people say 6 months, it's sustained pain. The system is now used to that's normal. So
Mm.
if you try to change that, that is now trauma. It's sort of like when kids get or people get their teeth done. What happens is that's now trauma to the body. And that's why teeth go back. Because the body's like, you traumatized me. So by having meditation in a relaxation and letting go, I don't sit there and say, "Oh, I want to have lots of money. I want to have my mansion, blah, 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 blah." I don't do that because I'm not coming from a place of neutral. I get to neutral with my system and my body and then see what comes to me
Mm.
because my path is going to be more aligned. So when I then became a teacher of it, the greatest gift was I taught it to my mum in hospital when she was dying.
Hmm.
And she ended up hating it. And she said I had heart palpitations. Doctor's nurse came over. She needed a blood transfusion. Found out later, if she hadn't had that done at that time, she wouldn't have lasted the 6 months more.
Wow.
It was a, and so it was so clear it was doing something beyond my conscious capacity. Like, come on,
So the
there's not
lady,
coincidence.
so the
Go ahead.
lady, so the lady that you went to, that you gave your last $400 to, actually gave you a gift.
Yes, and what's also interesting, her name was Maria Claiborne. She was big in this meditation group. She moved away from it because like everything, there's always politics.
Mm.
But when COVID came, and it was very clear when I became a meditation teacher, I was really teaching people like myself, people in chronic pain. I was teaching blokes who just got halfway houses, got out of prison, right? People, are you going to be okay, Paula, with this big man with tattoos? And they're standing next to me, flipping, crying. You know what I mean? Because their body is in neutral and they're letting some of the stress out right in front of me. Right. I'm like, no, I'm not scared about this chap. He's a frigging pansy. He just wanted to be loved. Something happened when he was younger and he's in a space where he's open to accept something to put him into neutral, right? These were the people that I was teaching. And it came to 2019 and I saw a retreat of all these really wealthy people. And I was not of that because I couldn't work, right? Somehow a residual would come through voice work or TV. Somehow I got by, right? But also I'm a hustle. I hustle. I hustle. I just keep saying, sound like Cat Williams. I hustle, 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 right? I had to keep, right? He makes me laugh so hard, that one. Oh my gosh. Very intelligent. Anyway, by the by. Um, and so I I thought I want to help other people. Maybe I'll get more support if
Mm.
I create this nonprofit, turn it nonprofit. And I'd already started, Andre, collecting stories from people who learnt this meditation and it changed their life. I'm not talking, I found my love of the life and now got a house. I'm talking someone was so suicidal, shot themselves in the head, lived, had shrapnel, worked with their doctor, learned the meditation from me. They got off the meds slowly, got married, have a job, have children, are functionable in their life. Those are the stories. And so then I created an ebook when the nonprofit came about with the paperwork, Andre. It was January 2020, and this is an in-person practice that we teach, and COVID happened. And what happened was I couldn't teach it, but I got more support. And through that, then the ebook came out. And through that, I knew we needed to laugh. We needed to laugh. We needed to use our lungs. And that's when I thought, let's have a comedy show on Zoom as a fundraiser and awareness for meditation. And that's how comedy started to come into this healing world with meditation.
Man, that is crazy. Such a great, impactful story that you still, while still going through all this pain, the resilience that you inherited. Let's get real. You inherited has gotten you to this point. Before we wrap up, how can the viewers reach out to you to know more about your comedy, to know more about your the program of meditation that um, you're willing to help people with who's dealing with pain? How can the viewers reach out to you on that?
Perfect. The best way, honestly, is my personal website, paulajanenewman.com. It's PaulaJaneNewman, Newman, like Newman from Seinfeld, right? That's what I would get a lot here in America. That will have the links to Aware Meditation. There's always awaremeditation.com as well. But that main website will have that. You can also on the social media, Instagram at Paula Jane Newman or at Aware Meditation. That's a great way to go. And for the people who are listening, if they want a free copy of this ebook that has stories from real people
Right,
about the meditation,
right.
go to awaremeditation.com right now. It should have a pop up for the newsletter. If you register for the newsletter and then you hit the contact us and tell me you registered, I will send you directly the ebook that you can have that for free.
Man, that is really great. You guys need to make sure you do that, and especially those that are dealing with um, unanswered questions as it relates to pain of any kind, because the ideal is definitely not to go down the rabbit hole. And like you said, I'm glad you was able to pull yourself out, Paula, from those dark moments of suicide, and taking even more so the time to come and share such a beautiful story. Make sure you guys reach out to her. Paula, we're gonna have you come back and share more of your story later. I'm pretty sure you got a lot of things going on with your comedy and in this in the practice that you're teaching, the meditation. What exactly is it called? What exactly is the meditation practice?
Yeah, it comes from the ancient Vedas in India. So lots of people teach it because you can't trademark the actual practice, but we just call it aware meditation's gold standard of meditation right now. But it has other names, which, some of those are trademarked and legally I'm not supposed to talk about.
Okay.
Welcome to
Okay.
the meditation. Well, you can do that. But coming up shortly, when you go to the websites, we're creating the similar kind of ebook about doing comedy and people healing. Like we haven't really got into how it's actually helped me with my CPTSD. That's
Right.
where I came back to comedy because I couldn't do it because I was hurt and I quit actually because of too much misogyny. And so when I come back and we were doing the fundraisers, my friend who's a professional comedian called me the next day and he's like, "Why are you not doing comedy, Paula?" I was like, "Listen, I still have pain. I'm not 20 years old. I'm not
Right.
going to become famous." And he listened to all my things I said and then said to me, "Yeah, but you still haven't told me why you're not doing it."
Right.
And I started to experience the more I did it, I went through a mini trauma thing, but as a result, my body started healing and I surrendered maybe only just last year, honestly. It is part of my destiny and I have to do it. So even when I bomb, and there are places where I bomb, it doesn't hit, especially when you go to different countries, you don't know, especially you just don't know what's going to work.
Right.
That there's probably someone there that I'm supposed to meet who is supposed to see me, who, even if they don't like me, might look me up to hate me, but they may come and see something about meditation. They may see something about healing for their cousin, for their aunt, or someone
Right.
that what I'm doing is bigger than myself. And that's why I keep doing it.
That sounds so beautiful. Paula, once again, thank you so much for taking time out to come on the show. Make sure you guys follow her if you, like I said, if you're in pain or you want an alternative, make sure you reach out. Paula, thank you once again. This has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton show.